So I have here with me Clair and Lyndon from Pride. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well on yourself.
Man, it's been a rough morning, but but I made it. So, 19 years.
Yeah, we've been involved for 19 years.
That's insane.
We lived in Boise, Idaho, and we would come down every year to work Pride. Or we'd come down to go to San Diego to work with Pride. We would fly down and catch up with everybody here and go to San Diego, work there. We've been to Phoenix and worked there. So that was all before we lived here. So we've been here now for 12 years and still involved, still on the board. We weren't on the board until we moved down. When we moved down 12 years ago, we were added to the board. The original bylaws said that they couldn't have anybody that wasn't living here being on the board. So that's why we didn't join the board earlier. So we've been involved for quite a while.
That's incredible. I do need to say that's half of my lifetime.
Yeah.
And what you guys would say? How did the community change throughout these years since you guys been involved?
Well, actually, over the 19 years that we've been involved with Pride, the way we got involved was with the Cox when that had a live broadcast.
Oh.
And so I had a background in live broadcasting, so that's how we got involved. So through that, from the beginning, we really had to create the parade scripts by actually calling the organizations and getting information and then editing. And so we really got to know each one of the individuals in all these organizations. And all the organizations used it as a marketing tool, because we always listed on the screen the name of the organization, phone number,
Just contact
email,
information, contact
or a
information.
contact name if they wanted that. But so it made it easier in order to contact them if they needed help or just were interested in the organization.
That was kind of how Lyndon got involved originally. He worked Pride a couple of times without me coming down. I would do stuff at home and then send it to him by email or whatever. I've always done the online stuff and the computer end of it. That's kind of my background. So I would do all that sort of stuff. But we started originally by writing the scripts. They needed somebody to write scripts, and Lyndon held up his hand and said, I can do it. He happened to be at a meeting
At the center, at the original center.
Yeah, at the original, well, not the original, the second one.
The second one.
Yeah. And that's how we got involved, and then slowly just got more integrated into it. And after we got here is when we kind of got involved more so with bingo. I don't really remember how.
And actually through the history of it, we've assisted with selling drink coupons.
Yeah.
Working special exhibits, because the first year I helped, they had an art exhibit at the pyramid at the government center, and then also that year they had all of the world gay travel agents were participating that year, and I just happened to be street captain for that street to handle everybody from pretty much every nation. So that was the first experience, and after that we've done anywhere where we've been needed, everything from setup to breakdown to the bars to food to entertainment to actually being a personal handler to some of the entertainers that needed it. So it's been quite a wide.
Well, and one of your earlier experiences with it was selling like drink tickets, because the sisters.
With the sisters.
Yeah, the sisters always sold the drink tickets at one time. We had cages when we were at the government center and that sort of thing, and they'd be behind these wired cages. But anyhow, one of the sisters at the last minute couldn't make it, and Lyndon stepped in to help. And it was hot, so he took his shirt off. All of a sudden, there was a line to go to him to buy tickets, and their sisters were sitting there saying, "Okay, what's going on? I can't. How come I don't have anybody? They're all going to him."
And what turned up from a 2-hour shift was an entire day. So.
Yeah, he spent almost the whole day there. He was supposed to be there for a couple hours, and they were for almost just. So that was kind of the beginning of getting involved here. Just it kind of worked slowly. And then we did the scripts, like I said, from the last minute. He would get online, do whatever. We would do that from Boise again. he would come down, and then I was working yet at the time, so I only had like a limited period. He'd come down and spend like a week or whatever, and then I would come down the last couple of days, and to be here during.
It was
the
a week to
parade
10
and so
days.
forth. So that was how the initial involvement with Pride really started happening. So it was kind of fun, different.
It's super fascinating. Like, these are the stories I really wanted to hear. Like, for me, it's been here 9 years, but technically only doing things the last 3 years. So I obviously love to hear what happened, like, even before I moved to the United States. I only moved here 9 years ago. So these are fascinating. And because I know you guys been part of Pride too, but even before, in personal experience, how do you guys feel these changes, what's happening? Because it's kind of politically, we're going backwards, what's happening currently for the rights. How do you guys feel about it after living through all of those and feeling these backsliding of these rights and fighting still for the same things that we fought 10, 20 years ago?
I found it generationally, because when I first started back then, everybody was pretty much around the same age. And as we keep moving forward, it seems the younger generation is not getting as involved as my generation was at that time. And it seems it's just the different thoughts. They're different. You can go online and find a lot more history. You can.
Yeah.
There's so many other resources that individuals have now. So they're out there, but trying to capture them into going to events. We're leaving it up to your generation.
Well, we're trying. I'm trying. I'm trying to make sure that generation goes out.
Yeah, because originally when we started, we didn't have Grindr, Tinder, Facebook, any of that. None of that was there, so you had to meet one-on-one. And so this has definitely changed the environment because we have all these other places. So it's hard to really get sometimes a turnout at an event or festival, the parade, anything, because people are online now. I mean, even it used to be way back when you could go to a male-only hotel or whatever, you had to meet somebody at that hotel personally. Now they're all in their rooms on their computers, and that's how they get hooked up. If they're going to, but whatever. Yes. And even those establishments have died because you don't need that interaction. So the whole community's changed from when we started. When we met each other 33 years ago, it was entirely different. Then it's changed drastically because of the environment, the things that have come online, the things that are available to do without having a one-on-one interaction with somebody or whatever. So getting the younger generation back involved in some of these activities and whatever is kind of a little bit of a struggle, as you have found out.
Yeah, it's even when I'm in a college campus, I'm talking with my professors, even they telling that this semester is the first semester when the first round of students who come back from the COVID era. So they are the first COVID generation of people coming to college. And actually, surprisingly, they are getting more active in person because they experienced how is it to be studying in front of a computer and not meeting with people. So this new generation of people who coming into college, they are more social. So I'm trying to get them because I know they want to go out because they experienced how is it to be completely isolated for a year.
Because we went from the open environment where you met to slowly into the computer era and so forth, and then COVID, when it did hit, it just stopped everybody.
Yes.
And so now they're realizing that maybe the interaction with people is
actually beneficial.
It's a good thing. We don't have to just sit on the computer and talk to each other. We can actually meet.
Yeah.
And there's one funny story. When Sniffies came out, and during Pride, the parade, the festival, it crashed because everybody was on there just checking it out because it was
everybody trying to say who was there just.
Instead of just talking to the people next to you.
Yeah, they were standing next to you. Well, and that's the environment today. So you've got to get past that because everybody, as you know, is on their phones.
Yes.
I mean, I saw some lady yesterday, and she was like, she wasn't talking or anything. I think it's just habit now. You just hold your phone. Regardless of what you do, you got to have your phone in front of you just in case.
Well, for me, I feel like as the person who do that, and so I go to those apps, I'm going to be honest, in these areas, sometimes I feel the reason why we do that because I do miss that version of being nicer to each other, and it's easier to just meet up because you're kind of worried who you're talking to. Because we, unfortunately, what I feel that we're getting even inside Pride, as not the organization, as the whole umbrella, we're getting more judgy with each other for no reason. Like we just walk around, and if you are not wearing the right shirt, but it's a rogue word to use, but the right shirt, then another gay person is gonna call you out, like, well, you're not really gay, or you're not that gay, or something. And I'm like, we need to stop that. Like, come on, we are under the same umbrella. Like, can we just be nice to each other? Like, if you wanna fight with someone, fight with the people who wanna oppress us, not with inside us. Like, and those are the reason I think some people just rather go to these apps, because you talk with the people who's gonna match with you, so you don't run into that. Oh, somebody's gonna judge me. Somebody don't wanna talk with me because I look different.
So you don't have to worry about that, and you could always just click, turn them off.
Yes.
You know, you don't
just
have
remove
to,
it.
Yeah,
That's
or if
it.
you're talking like this, it's a little bit harder to do. Sorry, I'm not talking to you, and walk away.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you anymore.
And there's another point that you touched on, that nowadays people are changing from wearing pride shirts or pride colors only for their own protection, because the negativity, the hatred, and just the judgment out there is there. And then another reason is people are not trusting the dating sites or the cruising sites, is that there's a lot of bashing going on now.
Yes.
If it's not bashing, it's robbery, it's whatever it is. So now that's why some people, I believe, are going back to meeting in person.
Yes.
For the safety in numbers.
Yeah, that's actually true. Like, I prefer meeting in person. So if I meet with someone in a bar and it's like, hey, let's get a drink, I would rather do that anytime than going on Stephen's or graduate. Somebody's like, hey, let's go for a drink. I'm like, I'm not sure. And it's definitely not helping that I'm studying criminal justice, so I'm paranoid as hell about everyone. I think everybody's a murderer in this project.
Well, you never know. Today's environment has changed so drastically.
You need to have that mindset that this can be a murderer.
Yes.
And then prove me wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. It's like, I hope you are not, but I'm prepared that you're gonna kill me.
Yeah, well, that's why in today's environment you need to meet in public. You know, you need to go out and be with other people, and you meet these people that you don't know. You know?
Yes.
So that's what it is. But those are the things that have changed since we met. Like I said, he picked me up in a bar originally, or I was given to him in a bar. So which was kind of fascinating. And we had both gone out one evening. He was Mr. Social. He had different friends every night he went out with. But this particular night, he was with a friend that I worked with that I knew was gay. We knew each other were gay. And we'd gone to this bar together. I don't even know why, but we were there. And the friend I worked with was interested in me, which I had no idea. And he asked Lyndon to come over and babysit me so nobody would pick me up. Well, here we are.
And the strangest thing is that the conversation that we're talking about, because
this is so romantic.
He worked for an oil company, and I was marketing director for the Petroleum Museum, and they sent me out to a drilling rig for 5 days in order to learn the industry from the bottom up. And all of a sudden, fracking was a new procedure for secondary oil recovery, and that's what our conversation was about. He had just heard about fracking. How does fracking work? And that was our basically 3-hour conversation.
Yeah, we talked
about the oil industry.
About the industry.
And we are here 33 years later.
So romantic.
Yeah.
And then that first week, I was going to be out of town after we met, so I was gone, and so he was on his own. And it took was it a month?
Yeah, pretty much
about a month before we finally kind of got together. And a year later, you moved in?
Yeah.
About a year later.
We dated on the down low. None of my close social friends knew anything about Clair until actually I was certain that it was going to work.
Yeah, I had to be approved by his friends and by his
family.
His family, basically his favorite aunt had to say he's okay before he would completely give in to the relationship. He said, if they'd said no, then bye, you're gone. So much for you. I've got somebody else.
It looks like you passed the bar.
Next. So that was kind of fascinating. I remember meeting this aunt, because he was born in Glendale, so we were in LA. That's where most of his family was at that point, and still is. We met at Cheesecake Factory for the
In
first
Beverly
time.
Hills.
Yeah, in Beverly Hills, and it was interesting. She and I just clicked instantly. I mean, it was like 2 seconds. You couldn't shut us up. You know? And so I was approved, and then his uncle, who was her ex-husband, I had to be approved by him also. So his 40th birthday party was held in, not Santa, where was it? Newport Beach. And he had to make sure that his ex-wife approved of me. And at that event, he saw how we interacted. We sat across from each other at the party, and there was probably 30 people there. But we sat across from each other, just again, couldn't shut. So he approved, so then I was okay.
And pretty much the entire family had no issue.
That's awesome. I did wanted to ask you about this, but I'm glad that we actually went through of that story.
Yeah, we did that. And then my family's approved. Some of our great niece and nephew don't know us other than as a couple. They never didn't know us before we were together, so it has made it interesting. So
I'm gonna ask a really cheesy question here.
Go
For
for
sure. What's the secret for it? 33 years, especially in the gay community, it's not happening. It's so rare to see someone actually be together that long period of time. What's the secret?
We're best friends, and for one thing, we volunteer together. I mean, even back in the first days that we met, I got him involved with the American Diabetes Association, the American Cancer Society, and also with the Confederate Air Force, and also with the Petroleum Museum.
Yeah.
So we had people in the community accepted us, so that made things a lot easier. We didn't have anybody always tugging at us, trying to say negative or anything. They just looked at us and said,
for some reason, we lived in Midland, Texas, which was, there was no gay bar, there was nothing. The gay society was closeted, basically. It was house parties with other couples, and so we had small events that way. But Lyndon was so involved with the community when we met that, like he said, he got me involved with all these things, and all of a sudden we were the gay couple in town. We got invited to everything. So we just have things in common, is what it is. And we're best friends. I mean, and after 33 years, we know each other, and so it works great. My hearing's bad. He's just behind me. I don't hear half of what he says. So it's just, we've just clicked. We've always been involved in the same things, and it was a standing joke. You never saw one without the other. We were always did things together. It wasn't like Lyndon did his thing, I did my thing. We did things together, and we still are. I mean, you don't see one without the other hardly ever. So.
Yeah, I'm taking notes here, by the way.
Which was help.
How to do this in the future.
Being, like you said, best friends, because we are, have been for a long time. Being in love, it helps. Even though sometimes things change a little bit, which they do with every relationship. Yeah. But we're still in love, and we're still best friends, and do things together. So that's kind of what it is. I mean, you don't have to be joined at the hip like we are, but you've got to have some common interests, otherwise it probably won't last forever, like ours has. And we've been married for, 13 years? No, more than that.
We had 15, 16, 17,
18 years. 18 years. So. And we got married I was telling Megan before you got here, we got married in Palm Springs on October 31st on Halloween, because we had nothing else to do. I'd been asking Lyndon to marry me for 3 or 4 years at that time, and probably 6 months before that or whatever, he finally asked me. And he said, okay, and it's at Halloween, because we had no other things to do. We got married at City Hall by the Mayor Pro Tem on Friday night before Prop 8 was voted in California. The Mayor Pro Tem did it. She had written their vows for us. We were the last couple to be married in Palm Springs before all that shift. They had some mass weddings on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, but we were the last individual couple to be married at City Hall that night. So it was kind of fun. It was Halloween, and she said, "Are you going to wear costumes?" And we're not costume people. So the costume was khaki pants, a black shirt with pink in it, and flamingo socks. That was the costume, was the flamingo socks. So.
If you guys have some picture, I want to see those outfits.
Yeah, the picture, we look at it now that many years later, it's like, God, that was boring. But it was,
some of the couples that got married before us, because we were told to get there at 3 o'clock for 5 o'clock to make sure that still, got to talk to her secretary or assistant. And just seeing the other couples that were there was like, okay, we really are understated in this.
Yeah, that and it was just kind of ironic because that was the window before Prop 8 when you could get married in California. So we had Nevada had put in a domestic partnership law, which we also had at that time, and so it was kind of ironic that so some of the people coming in, it was funny. I will never forget a younger couple that was right behind us or just got married just before us. They'd met like the week before, and they were getting married. It's like, huh?
In Sacramento.
Yeah, it was like, this probably won't last. This was a weekend fling that you're carrying a little bit too far. And you don't realize, even in the gay community today, some of these people that have gotten married don't realize it's a legal document.
Yeah.
You are married. You have to go through a divorce. You have to do all this to separate. I mean, if you don't stay together, you've got to go through all the legal formalities to get separated. And some of these men and women don't realize that. They just kind of separate and go on doing their things. But you're married.
You see, I'm married. By the law, you see, I'm married.
Just in case, yeah. If you find somebody else, you're going to have to do this. So that's just kind of that. Back to Pride.
Before we get back to Pride, I do have one more question about it. Like you guys said, you guys were living in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we met. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys said like the community accepted you guys after. I'm a big believer, and I'm not really sure if that's the reason for it, but I'm a big believer that when I had a restaurant here in town, it was in Summerlin, so I had a lot of more Republican, conservative, older people coming there. And of course, they were a little bit wary about when I was talking about being gay. But I was a big advocate that if we can have a normal conversation with people, actually they understanding. Like people are more understanding that we give them credit, especially some conservatives. Because all of the customers, once I told them, not what the mass media put out rhetoric, I told them exactly how is it to be gay and what are the struggles and everything. They were like, well, we never imagined that. Like that's so weird. Why people go against you guys like that? Like there's nothing to that. I was like, that's the reason why we're doing these things. And they were like, oh, that's so interesting. Like, and they were more accepted. And after I met with them, multiple couple, that older couple who is actually came to the Pride last weekend, last year when we had it, and they never been, and that was their first Pride. And they were like, well, we wanted to check out because we went to your restaurant all the time, and we were like, that's different what we expected. Do you guys think that was kind of like the helpful thing that you guys were talking to them
about? Yeah, because we were just normal.
Yeah, we were just Clair and Lyndon. It was not, yeah,
they knew we were gay.
They knew we were gay. It really was never discussed.
We talked about economy. We talked about the oil industry. We talked about
what was going on.
Tourism, life in general.
Well, because like you said, Summerlin, can be a more Republican environment. Well, we lived in Midland, Texas, which is 150% oil industry and Republican. And it was just, we were just accepted. And we would talk about gay things and all, and nobody ever batted an eyelash particularly. I'm sure maybe behind us, they were talking behind our backs, who knows. But to our faces, short of a couple instances, they were very friendly. So, open and friendly, and it was fine. So.
And there was an interesting, I was asked to go to the junior league ball. So immediately I panicked. So I asked a female friend if she would go with me First thing was, why aren't you taking Claire? I said, well, the nature of the beast. And she said, okay. How many people came up and said, where's Claire? Where's Claire? Where's Claire? And I said, I'm with, and it's like, well, you're not Claire.
That was kind of almost a common question. If one or the other, where is the other half? You know? Where's Lyndon? Where's Claire? Whatever. We're not by ourselves.
And then he was usually the popular one because he would dance with them. Because he loves to dance. I'm kind of like,
Well, and Lyndon's the outgoing individual more so than I am actually until we get going, then you kind of shut me up. You know? So it's kind of interesting that way. He knew everybody, introduced me, and then, I don't know, it clicked. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's a lesson for a lot of people who's listening, that you can always try. Like, whatever you are, just because the stigma is that, oh my God, these are the Republican area, or these are more conservative. They're never gonna accept it. Just try, because you can be surprised.
Oh yeah.
And that was my personal experience too.
Well, like I said, even with your customers, and so with the interaction, and they learn who you are. You're not a bad guy. You know,
yeah, that's...
for being gay. You're not gonna molest their children. You're not. You know, this is not what happens.
I'm not pushing the woke agenda on that children.
So it's just fun that way. Everything works out. And Pride's changed, like we said, from the open, where you met everybody to the pandemic and to COVID and all that, you know, and everything kind of shut down. And now it's slowly opening up again. People are realizing that it's opening up. So that will help our community, hopefully. The current political climate is not fun. And we have no idea what could happen tomorrow. But keep our fingers crossed that we can make it, you know, he won't do anything too drastic.
Well, he will try, but...
He may try, hopefully. Well, the gay community has always eventually banded together. I mean, even though we're so fragmented at times,
yes,
where this group won't talk to this group, won't talk to this group, but when it comes to push and shove, they can all come together, and there's a lot of people, I'm trying to think of the word, enough that we can be and have influence and be influential in fight these battles. So,
and that's what I feel like, and that's what I hope for. That every time when we got these attacks, especially for now, that Supreme Court that maybe need to maybe they're gonna accept the case and try to overturn the Obergefell decision, that we are, much as we are fragmented, like you said, we are strong together, and it's a force to reckon with. Like, it's not something that you can just
just sweep under the carpet.
Just a couple of people. No, there's a lots of us, and more and more people joining under the umbrella of LGBTQIA plus. And
short of the very extreme group that absolutely hates gay people and we're whatever, the country has kind of come over to accepting a little more the middle area, you know, the left and the middle is more accepting of us than the extreme right will say, you know, that hates us. They don't know why. They have no idea why. They don't know what they're fighting against, but they're fighting, you know, so it's just interesting that way how...
You always need to find a marginalized group to attack, to push your hardcore agenda. That's the playbook of fascism. That's what they try to do. And it's, but like what you said, I think the last time when I see a research, a public opinion, I think it was said like more than 70% of the US.
I think, some of the last things that they've been in the mid-70s.
Mid-70s, like we accept it, we don't care. Actually, it's like more like, we don't care. You?
That's part of it. If you don't, just because you don't know, you think you don't know anybody that's gay or any of whatever you want to call this community, you know, there's 150 different he, she, it, that, them, you know, there's a lot of different things there. They don't think they know anybody, and so they're so against this group, and probably their next door neighbor, or their friend's best friend or whatever is gay, and they don't have a clue. And they don't know why they don't like us, but they just don't like us.
That's just the prejudiced notions about it.
But to change the subject, I want to say that for the last 19 years, I've seen our royalty leave a legacy. They all have. I'm looking forward to seeing your results.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I will try. I will try to make sure that it's gonna happen, because everybody needs to make a change, and that's why I wanted to do it in the first place. Like, we should have these conversations. We should leave something, and we should,
Correct.
as I'm the younger generation, we need to step up and we need to do something to make sure that we are here, we fight, and we're never gonna go away, because we're prouder and louder than we ever been. So
We need to try to get that more instilled in the whole community, that the younger generation needs to step up,
yes,
which they really, because of partially the environment and then the social media and all that sort of stuff, but they need to get involved, because the older generation, like we are, and the ones that are a generation below us before you are the ones that are still kind of carrying the flag,
yes.
you know.
And people need to understand that, much as I know about the history and everything about the movements, we need to be super grateful for you guys from the first place. You guys started, you guys been there to fight for these rights, what we have right now. And the people who do not appreciate it, I can't say it on the camera, the words what I want to say to them in this, but we wouldn't be here if it's not you guys and all the sacrifice and all the work what you guys put into this. Because the fact that, I'm just saying this one to the listeners, the fact that you can go to Grindr and hook up with the next person next to you, or Sniffies, or identify how you want to identify, it's because of people like them. Because how they fought years and years and paved the path for you, so you can do all of these little things. So it's time to pick up the torch and do your job, because it's now your time to stand up and do something about it.
Yeah, true, because Lyndon and I feel very lucky, because we never officially came out. We just
We're there.
we were there. I mean, even when I grew up, and I grew up in Montana, which is, you know, terrible as far as the gay society, but I was involved from the early 70s. I had a partner, opened the first gay bar in Great Falls, Montana, first one in the whole state, had the first pageant at the hotel in Great Falls, crowned the first Miss Gay of Montana, or whatever the hell I called it at that time. I don't remember. Been too long ago. But anyhow, so I had been involved and was never questioned. So I was extremely lucky, and so was Lyndon, because it just kind of was there and came out, and everybody knew, and nobody cared. So we feel fortunate. We didn't have to fight some of the fights that a lot of the community had to do in that era. I mean, the bar didn't last forever, but it was open for probably a year or so before it finally, you know, again, nobody was there, whatever. But we had drag shows. We did all this way back then. It was just kind of what we did. You know, we got going, and the first pageant, like I said, there was probably 4 or 5 people that were in drag that got dressed up to compete for, you know, my partner won, because I had made the dress. And it was gold lame fabric with a bitch to work with. So that was, you know, we were just, even then, I'm sure the neighbors didn't care, you know, or whatever. So we were, consider ourselves quite lucky being in conservative environments, both of us, Lyndon and Midland, because that's where he grew up, basically, and me in Montana, that we just were able to be ourselves. And I think, let's see, I was in the hospital when I came out to my mom. I don't remember why now, but I was in the hospital. And my partner at the time was was around, so she finally said, "Are you gay?" And I said, "Yeah." Like, well, I've wondered all these years, Mom. You know, so it
And
was kind of.
And my coming out experience was totally different, because it was the summer of 1980 in West Hollywood. And the thing that attracted me to West Hollywood was, number 1, the movie Xanadu, and number 2, Can't Stop the Music. Look them up. But just to see the changes in West Hollywood, from dirt roads to what it is now to when they were unincorporated until they became incorporated in 1984, 1985. And that's when they had their first Pride Parade. And to see that development, and I mean, still it's occurring now, but not to the extent it did, where, you know, not shootings like we have today, but they would be somebody shooting a gun, attempting to shoot somebody. Or again, the beatings, or again, the robbery, everything. So it's changed. I've seen it kind of go back into it for a little bit, but then again, the community comes out, creates their own security force in order to walk them from the bar to their car to wherever they want to go to. So it's within the community that we need to take care of each other.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the important part. What I saw this year on the Hungarian festival, the parade, because there was lots of people showed up because the government banned it. So it was more like a riot than actually a parade part. But I saw an article that, and it was really good article. Say like exactly the same thing. Like, there is always gonna be people who's gonna try to fight it, beat it up.
Oh yeah,
There's
there'll
always
always
gonna
be an opposition.
Yeah,
So
it's always gonna be an opposition. No, we're never gonna be 100% accepted by everyone.
yeah,
But we are here for each other, and even there, sometimes it's the force is in the numbers too, like how many people show up, and sometimes it's even these bars. We have people forget about it. We have securities too. We can hire securities. It's not like it's only for straight people. We can hire securities. They're gonna beat you up if you start doing something. We have police present in the parades for securities because we can do that. That's in our rights. And by the way, gay people can own guns too. So it's not like we are super hopeless and we're just gonna let two guys just like, oh, I'm gonna go in and beat you up. Well, good luck. I mean, like, did you ever see a gay guy going into the gym 7 days a week? You're gonna get beat the fuck up, by the way.
Yeah, because back in those days, if somebody came in and tried to be a bully or whatever, you'll be surprised how active and how adrenaline-ridden guys can be in order to protect one of their own.
Yeah, and I think it's still today. Like I think if anything would happen, it would be the same reaction.
it is, because you can see it with the, you know, June being Pride Month basically in the world, and I mean, carrying over now until October and whatever. You can see in the foreign countries and in Europe and so forth, the numbers of people, even if the Pride Parade was banned, they still show up.
Yeah.
You know, there's hundreds of thousands of people. Even though you are doing something illegal, they still show up.
Yeah.
So we're here for each other. It just...
We can be more of a supportive community if we need to be.
we do. Yeah. There again, we need to band together.
Yeah, we need to get together.
not be fractured into little groups and fighting each other. You know.
So I think that's all we have time for, and I would like to thank you guys for everything what you guys are doing for the community, what you guys did for all of the stories, and I'm looking forward for this next year to work with you guys.
Yes, we can't wait to work with you. So.
We're really looking forward to it. Your plans.
We'll hold your
Thank
feet
you.
to the fire and make sure you do.
Let's do this.
So yes, thank you for inviting us to be
Of
part
course,
of
of course. I
Thank you
really
very
wanted
much.
to make this happen for sure, because it's really hard to find. How do I put this? It's really hard. It's really hard to find people who has that much experience that you guys in this field, in the Pride organization, even with dealing with the living in areas where it's more conservative, being together this long times. Like this is a special circumstance. It's not happening every day.
True.
And when I heard about that one, I was like, oh, I need you guys. We need to have conversation. That's gonna be a good one. So thank you so much. Don't forget, subscribe, like, and see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.